welcome everyone to an episode here of African Talk Football. We're just about to do a quick World Cup recap. We had the final yesterday, which was Sunday, December 18th. Um, Personally, I think it was the best final, the best football match I've ever seen. I'm not gonna lie, like definitely for me, the best match of football I've ever seen. Full 120 plus minutes of just straight back to back action, everything you could ask for real. Salam, would you before we hop into the episode, like your first words, your first feelings, your like once the match was over, like
Yeah,
your first thoughts?
I was happy for Messi, man. I was really happy for Messi. Seeing him celebrate just kind of, it was a really good sight, and it was really good feeling if you're a fan of football. This guy's achieved everything individually, and now has achieved everything in the game, and any competition that you want that you can win, he's won. And now he can fortunately say, which is crazy, like how much time, how much can change in 2 years, but he has multiple trophies with Argentina. He has a World Cup, he has a Copa America, he has a Finalissima. If that's three trophies with Argentina, you know what I'm saying? But
Two
at least,
years.
the two big ones, he has the Copa and the World Cup, man. And I think that, not that he needed this, but it cements himself as, one of the best ever to play the game, and definitely the greatest of all time in our generation. So congrats to him.
Yeah, dog, like it was super cool seeing Kun Aguero running out there and holding Messi up. Um, because we know that this is this has been a long time coming for Messi. I mean, 2014, they got to the final and lost. People were talking about that being probably Messi's best chance to get there.
Yeah.
Last World Cup, obviously they fell short again. And then this one, I feel like they had a strong team and people were holding them as one of the front running teams. But I feel like after they lost that first match to Saudi Arabia, everybody counted them out. I mean, I didn't count them out, but I was like, look, that's a bad L. Like that's a really, really bad loss, like to a Saudi Arabia team that really shocked everybody at that moment. And so for them to come back and for Messi to for real just like take over, bro. What did he finish with? 7 goals, 3 assists, something like that.
He finished in second place behind Mbappe.
Yeah, I think Mbappe had 8 goals. Messi has 7. I mean, when you like when you look at that, and we'll get on Mbappe in a second, but just talking about Messi, when you look at how he willed and determined his team to the finals, and then once in the finals delivered again, it just speaks to the full storybook, final ending. Like these are the moments you live for. I think Salami said something like, this is what separates the great players from the great players. You know what I mean? Like there's going to be talks and debates about era this, era that. But when you look at the full resume of what Messi was able to do, it's just crazy to look at it, especially growing up with him. I'm 27 now, and Messi's been playing for what, 17 years, they said. So since he was 10, I've been watching him. It's kind of crazy to really watch him from the jump. So it was cool, man. It was super cool for me to see. I mean, I feel like we all got emotional. But yeah, one of the best, definitely the best match I've ever seen,
Yeah.
football wise.
I think like you said, seeing him on Kun Aguero's shoulders, like that's an iconic moment in sports, in all sports. I think regardless of, if you follow football or not, about Messi, about Ronaldo. And this is the equivalent of, a Michael Jordan winning the NBA championship, to some LeBron James, to some Kobe Bryant, to some,
Their
I guess,
first one though.
yeah,
You know what I mean? It's like the first one.
yeah, the Tom Brady, I guess, maybe, you know, for football. But Definitely an iconic moment, man, for him. Um, for me, we were talking about this. He's the best player of our generation. I think he's the best player of all time. I don't think he's just the best player of all time because he's won this trophy, but I think that, there's no, you know, it's hard to debate anybody else but him at this point. There's a bunch of great players who have played this game. Zidane, Henri, R9, Ronaldinho, Cristiano.
Ronaldo,
Um, yeah,
Brazil, Ronaldo.
yeah, R9. Um,
Oh, you said R9, yeah.
yeah, Zidane. But you know, he's I was reading I saw the stat somewhere. It said he's Messi has beaten Cristiano in a Champions League final. He's beaten Neymar in a Copa America final, and he's beaten Mbappe in a World Cup final. Like, put some respect on my name.
That's a fact. That's a fact, man. It's like the funny thing is, like everybody on that Argentina team was doing it for Messi. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's how you low key know that a team is prepared to like win a final. Like leading up to that final, everybody on the team, they're sharing their texts and their Instagrams and whatnot, just saying like, we're doing this for you, bro. Like everybody, the whole mentality from the jump was, we're doing this for you. We're doing this for you. We're doing this for the country, obviously, but we're doing this for you. We know what this means. We know this may be your final chance. We just like, tell us what we need to do so we can support you and you can play at your best. And it kind of reminded me of LeBron, when after that 2016 final, when he told the Cavaliers, he was like, look, we're down 3-1 to the best team ever assembled. If you guys can help me win this game 5, I promise you I will win game 6 and we'll go back over there and we'll win game 7. Is that mentality? Is that championship drive? You know what I mean? Like, and it could be the fault to France not having a lot of leadership, veteran leadership in the room. At the end of the day, because the game was close, but like we were talking about earlier, it took magic from Mbappe in the 75th minute, to kickstart France into possibly having a chance to get back in this match. I mean, if you look at some of the players that were popping off for him in the group stages, that were popping off for him in the knockout rounds, Giroud got subbed off after 60 minutes.
Yeah, he was hurt,
You
man.
know, he was hurt at the same time, but he had chances to do stuff while he was on the
Oh yeah,
pitch.
for sure.
You know what I mean?
Dembele
Dembele, who was one of their shining stars, where was he during the full entirety? He was just a ghost. You know what I mean?
the whole
A
tournament.
lot of their players didn't step up. And when a lot of the, you know, sidekicks, so to speak, I don't want to call them sidekicks, but when some of the auxiliary players don't step up and don't become those X factors, it's very, very easy now to put 2 on Mbappe, to kind of double him up, to make sure that he is denied the ball. And when he does get the ball, frustrate him. Because if everybody else ain't popping off, then we know we can put our sole focus on the best player. And for 75 minutes, they were able to do that, to some effect. And then you just saw a moment of brilliance. Both goals, man, just moments of brilliance from Mbappe, showing that he respects Messi. That's his teammate. He knows that he's going to be going down as one of the best players and to ever touch the pitch. But like, you saw the true competitor in Mbappe, and that was one of the biggest takeaways from this match for me. Even when he was accepting his Golden Boot award, not a smile on his face. There was true, true, true competitorship. And it was just real, real Titan warrior attitude. Like, I really, 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 really want this. I don't care that it's super cool for Messi to win. I don't care that I'm only 23 and we won last year. I don't care that all of our, veteran players like Kante and Mbappe or Pogba, they're not here. Benzema. I don't care about any of that. I want to go out there. I want to win. And you just saw it for all 120 minutes, even to the point where he took the first penalty when it came down to the PK shootout. It just showed you that, like, I don't know, man. And we were saying this before. I just think he's ahead of all of his peers, like leaps and bounds ahead of all of his peers. when it comes to consistency, when it comes to proving that you can produce number wise on a world stage, there are a few players who we've seen do it on the Messi level, on the Ronaldo level, and Mbappe's done that now twice in the World Cup final. So for me, it's super cool to watch. Not to take anything away from Messi, because obviously we know that he's the best to ever play the game. But this Mbappe kid, man, this Kylian, he's
Yeah,
something special. He's something real, real special.
yeah. There was a lot of legacy implications on both sides for both of them, and I think you know he to me right now is the best player in the world. I don't think that there's anybody that can do what he can do. I don't think that there's anyone more uh I guess just dangerous than him. I mean, you can say Holland, but I mean, this guy,
Mm-mm.
he's doing this in World Cups. 12 World Cup goals by the age of 23. Um, he's gonna break that record. And when I think of him, I mean, his performance first of all in the final was huge.
Second player to ever get a hat trick. It's crazy.
Yeah, at 23 years old, and I think all tournament, you know what I'm saying, he won the Golden Boot. I don't see that ending. I think the only thing that could hold him back potentially is, God forbid, an injury. I don't there's because there's nobody else that's going to hold him back. And if there's anyone that I feel like could chase, this whole Messi Ronaldo thing in terms of consistency, in terms of you know records and goal scoring, I think is going to be this guy because he's scoring at a rapid rate for club and country in big games too. You know what I'm saying? He scored against every big club. He gets a lot of heat, and I give him a lot of heat though too. I really wasn't happy to see him go back to PSG. I wanted him to go to a better team to compete with the best. But even where he's at now in Champions League, he's shown that he can conquer you know Europe as well too. Went to a Champions League final, came up short. Um, Now has come up short in a World Cup final after winning it the first time. So he definitely this won't be his last opportunity. He'll be back. His team will be back. He has a very young team, a very promising team. You have to shout out Chouamini. You have to shout out. I mean, bro, a lot of these guys played well. Varane, I thought played well. Um, Upamecano, I'm not even like his biggest fan, but I felt like he was solid all tournament. Giroud was great as usual. Griezmann,
Teo
um,
Hernandez,
yeah,
very played
yeah,
well all tournament.
yeah,
Stepping up for a big bro.
yeah, stepping up for his brother. His brother unfortunately went out, I think, with game one, and
Yeah.
um, but yeah, man, Lloris too, man. Shout out Lloris. You know,
These keepers that can, bruh, they
yeah,
be reinventing themselves for their country, bro.
yeah, man. This is not the same Lloris that I see from Spurs now. You know,
Even Pickford was looking different, bro.
yeah,
I'm like,
you're playing for your country. I don't know, man. It hits different, I guess, but club football is right around the corner. So, I think,
we'll see who they really are.
yeah, we'll see who they really are. But I mean, yeah, Mbappe, best player in the world currently. It's interesting as he goes back to PSG, that front three now, like, they leave the World Cup, with different, um, I don't know, I guess, feelings, situations, and I'm interested to see how that translates into club football because I think they could win Champions League now. I mean, shit, look at Hakimi's coming back now too. Led his team to a fourth place finish. Um, you know,
Highest finish for an African ever. Shout out ATF TV.
yeah,
Shout
man.
out Morocco, man. We I know we didn't speak about the third place match, but just shout out Morocco again being the team, the African team to make it the furthest in this illustrious tournament.
For
Um,
sure.
I would have loved to see them get that bronze medal, but even in that third place match, they played well. It was 1-1. They scored directly after they got the goal scored on them. So it showed the resilience. They got scored on, conceded, and then 2 minutes later was able to tie it up. Had
Yeah,
chances all throughout the match, just fell short. And that's what happens when you get to these tournaments. You know, you play 6, 7 games all within 3 weeks.
for sure.
A lot of players got tired. There were a lot of, cramps, muscle tightness, muscle soreness. So this is less important than the final, even though you do want to bring, something home for your country, stand on the podium.
Mm.
But, at the end of the day, health is most important, especially for a lot of these players who do have to go right back into a season, some of them playing in less than 2 weeks. So it was cool to see Morocco up there, but yeah, man. Thought we saw a lot of good play, a lot of good play this tournament.
For sure. And I think looking back, I think the tournament overall, one of the best, I think this was the best World Cup I've seen. For me, the best one before this one was the one in 2010 in South Africa. Um, but I think there's so many spoilers and in this tournament, and I just felt like, it was competitive throughout the tournament. Like you even like deciding what was it? Like in the beginning, it was the first time where like only two teams were
Only two
decided.
teams had punched their ticket, yeah,
Yeah,
through
so
through the
like
first two matches.
yeah, and like
So
teams
that
that you
third match, anybody really.
yeah, and countries that you thought that were expected to go through didn't. When I look at I was actually looking at on here in America it was done by Fox Sports, and Fox Sports on YouTube has like a kind of like all the goals of the tournament, and I was watching some of them and I was just thinking like wow, like like I remember where I like where I was like thinking wise, like what I'm saying, when it first started, and thinking like wow, like Uruguay can actually be decent this tournament. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, like, you watch Spain game one and they're like, oh shit, Spain
They
looks
might
kind of
go all
good.
the
Yeah,
way.
yeah, then like I don't know, you look at countries like Germany as well too. Like, it's another disappointing showing
Very,
on
very.
the biggest stage, and um I don't know, man. I remember even just seeing like Ghana versus Portugal, and just seeing that game and how that game ended, and even seeing the Ghana Uruguay game at the end, where they both got eliminated. Like, if I'm going down, you're going down with me. But yeah, it was interesting though, man. I mean, for Brazil, you look at Brazil, another World Cup exit, another injury to the best player, and still came back, and just losing the way that they did in penalties. I mean, look, think about how many teams lost in penalties.
Bro,
Um,
there had to be the
uh,
most penalty shootouts, has to
yeah,
be a record. I know there was a record. I think they said like either 711 extra minutes
yeah,
played or something
for
like
sure.
that. And it's just like, man, what? We
Yeah, and
saw so many good keepers saving
yeah,
like penalties and PK shootouts.
yeah, and
It's
some
a
people say
lot,
that
man.
like, oh, it was because I was reading like, oh, like was it a good idea to do the World Cup like in the winter? Because we've seen like high level football, and it's part of it is because these guys are already like they're in form, as opposed to going through their season and then taking a few weeks off and then heading into the tournament. But for me, I don't think that's that big of a deal, especially considering that like after the season concludes, like in the spring, like there's not that much time in
There's
between.
not that much time. Yeah.
Yeah, like so like what are you just gonna lose form completely? Like
Yeah.
I don't think that's the case. But I mean, I think Qatar did put on a good showing of the tournament. Definitely the most memorable moments I can remember throughout this tournament. The USA, punching their way out of the group stages and then getting knocked out by the Netherlands. It's just so many things. Remember watching like Gakpo in the beginning, like, oh my God, this is Gakpo's tournament. Um, England beating Iran the way that they did, and then to who would have thought, what I'm saying, Harry Kane missed a penalty and now they're eliminated. Um, but yeah, one of the best tournaments. I mean, the best tournament for me.
Yeah, no, it was like you said, just so many memorable moments. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Shout out to the US. I think that I'm kind of glad we got beat by the Dutch because we would not have played that next round very well. Argentina would have
Sure.
showed us 10,
They
but
would have smoked us for sure.
they would have shown us 10.
Yeah.
But no, I think I said this a few weeks ago that I didn't mind it being during the winter.
Hmm.
I don't agree with the whole they're in form because it's mid-season type thing, just because a month off doesn't really, and how many of those players are really truly taking a month off when they,
Yeah.
when they know the World Cup is coming up? Some of these players are still trying to, actually, I think the teams have to be set by then, but a lot of these players are still,
Trying to get a call up.
trying to get a call up. So they stay in shape. They're probably not going as hard as they would if it was mid-season, but these are professional athletes. As football players, you're used to playing, 10 months around the year, if not more. So
Yeah.
for them, they know it's World Cup year. They kind of gear up for that. They kind of put it in their minds at the beginning of the year, like, yo, it's going to be all year this year. We're going to go through the summer.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't really believe with that. But yeah, man, I mean, favorite memorable moments?
Yeah, I would have to say there's a
Just,
I don't
well, you
know.
can go ahead.
There's a few. Go ahead. Do you have one?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say to start, we can go back and forth. You could just go
Okay.
rapid fire, but Richarlison,
I was just
that
about to
that
say
brace, bro. That
yeah,
hey,
I was
that
just about to say that.
hey,
Yo, I was just about to say when they scored the first one,
what?
like I was just like, oh damn,
That
it
Richarlison goal for me, because that I just saw that they did like I think they did the top 10 nominations for goal of the tournament, FIFA.
yeah,
So I was looking at those and I was like, hey, my boy.
for
I
sure.
was not a Richarlison fan at all before this tournament. I didn't like either of the teams he was on in the Prem.
Yeah, for sure.
Still don't like either of the teams. I didn't like Everton or Tottenham. I was like, this guy stinks, bro.
Yeah,
But after this tournament, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm a Richarlison fan.
for sure.
I really am. I really am.
Yeah. I love seeing that. I would say um staying on Brazil, I think when they scored against Croatia, when Neymar scored against Croatia and seeing like wow, like damn, like this is a moment right here. Like this is a moment. Who would have thought that they would have equalized shortly after? Because
Right.
that in itself was a moment too. But the moment that I was gonna say, you can go next. But the moment that I was gonna say was, man, when Tim Weah scored that goal for USA, first goal, I was like, wow, like we're here. Like we had to get that like off our back. You know what I'm saying? The first goal we have to score.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Facts.
saying? And the
Facts.
way he did it against Wales, I was
Great
just like,
finish.
it
Great
was a
finish.
great ball, great finish. And I was just like, it gave me hope, like, oh wow, like we got some here with some of these guys here. And yeah, Tim Weah's goal for sure.
No, I was actually going to bring up Tim West. Shout out my game, my Barbarian Peking, son of the best African player ever to touch the well. Only Ballon d'Or African winner. Tell somebody I can't take that one from you. But yeah, no, I was gonna say the Tim Weah goal 100%. Like that, that's who I want him to be, bro. I think he's a poor man Dembele. I think they play very, very similarly.
Yeah.
They're both very injury prone. Dembele is obviously a lot more talented, but I think they have similar playing styles. I would love to see him develop into a more consistent guy for us.
Yep.
Um, but what's my boy's name from Portugal? Hat trick.
Oh yeah, Ramos.
Yeah, he's about to get some looks too. I think it's a little premature, but he's a good young player, bro.
There's a few, yeah.
There's a few. That hat trick was something
Yeah,
crazy.
that was something.
Like, especially the fact because the whole storyline behind he's starting instead of Ronaldo in a
Yeah,
game that matters. Buddy came on. I mean, obviously you guys were way more dominant that match, but a hat trick in your first start,
for
that was
Ronaldo.
a memorable. That was super memorable to me because I didn't really know who Buddy was, so I was just like, okay, whatever. Not expecting him to do anything crazy, and then he popped off.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Not yet. He's getting a
He
move.
went crazy.
He's getting a move. I think another guy who I think is going to get a move, the young player of the tournament, Enzo Fernandez, when he scored that banger in the group stages,
Absolutely.
I was like, okay, like that's when I knew I was like, okay, Argentina, like you said earlier, like they're playing with a whole different purpose, and like I was like, they're gonna you know get it however they can. Um, but my other moment, man, has to go back to um Harry Kane, missing the penalty. Um, I've seen. I don't think I've ever seen Harry Kane miss. I'm
It
sure he
was
has.
bad.
I'm sure he has, but I've never seen him miss. And to see him miss the way he did, I was just like, wow, your team's going home because of you. So, um, yeah, I would have to say Harry Kane.
I mean, it was a lot of PK shootouts where I was just like, you could, I mean, that wasn't a shootout, that was during the match, but
Penalties, yeah, and just in general.
penalties, man, just in general. And I don't know, like, I don't know how much you practice that as a squad, but I feel like after this World Cup, teams going to start
Yeah,
implement. Bro, I'm telling
yeah,
you, it was so many, dog. Like,
yeah,
so many to the point where it was just like, damn, like you kind of really have to have a set five when you come to these tournaments now.
for sure.
Because I feel like, teams kind of have an idea, but they really don't know. Like a lot of teams probably don't know,
Yeah,
especially because it's after 120. You got to, adjust for who's hurt, who's still in the match, who's played X amount of minutes and all that.
yeah,
But that was a standout to me, just the fact that we saw so many shootouts. I don't think I've ever seen as many shootouts in a tournament before. And a lot of them came down to keepers, and a lot of them came down to players just not being ready for real.
yeah, for sure. But part of the game. I think trying to think a few of the moments. I think Cameroon, even though like the game really didn't have very much implication, Cameroon beating Brazil, I thought was a big deal for Africa, for Cameroon to get a win over Brazil is always an achievement. Um
I thought the two Asian teams that made it into
for sure, for sure.
the the knockout rounds, shout out South Korea, shout out Japan, both put on shows, absolute spectacles on their third group stage match to get punched through. You know what I mean? Japan beat Germany, and I forgot who South Korea beat. Who was it? An
South
African
Korea.
team?
Yeah, South Korea beat
Was this Senegal? No, it wasn't Senegal because Senegal got through. Can't remember who they
Ghana.
beat.
No, Ghana beat Uruguay. They beat
Yeah, no,
Portugal,
Ghana.
right?
They beat Portugal. They beat Portugal.
Yeah, they beat Portugal.
I mean, both of them just to be able to get through. Shout out African soccer and then shout out Asian soccer for again just
For sure.
leveling the playing field. You know what I mean? There's all this talk about Europeans being the best, and then now we have a South American World Cup winner, but a lot of these smaller nations, man, they're starting to pull their weight a little bit. We're starting to see these cats in the high leagues, and it's cool to see for real. Especially with the World Cup expanding to more teams,
Yeah.
it's going to be cool to see some of these smaller nations that a lot of people don't know start to get some shine.
Yeah, you'll see more talent. I think like the guy from Morocco, number 8, Uhani.
Or
Yeah,
Unahi,
yeah,
Unahi,
I know I'm
yeah,
saying it wrong, and I
yeah, something like
apologize,
that.
but I think he's been one of the bright spots for Morocco at in midfield. Um, Favorite moment of them though, man, is when in the penalty shootout, Hakimi goes last and he hits the ice cold the Panica over over the who is it? Simon. Yep, to knock
Yeah,
Spain out. Um yeah, man. And then he does the Sergio Ramos dance. You know what I'm saying? A little ode to his boy because they didn't pick him up. But you
I
know,
mean
they
Sergio
also
Ramos.
yeah, they also wanted Hakimi to play for Spain and not Morocco, but he chose Morocco. So
It was a lot of it was a lot of implications in a lot of these matches.
Yeah, for sure.
geopolitically,
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, for
historically,
sure.
like even news storylines. There was a whole lot of,
Yeah.
what I'm saying, going on. We had a group
Um,
of USA, Iran, and England.
yeah,
So, you know what I'm saying. We
but yeah,
got
no,
Uruguay, Ghana as another matchup.
yeah, for sure. That one,
It,
the
just
way
a
they
whole
both went
bunch.
out, I was just like, man, like, you know what? I don't know. I feel like I feel like that story isn't quite over yet.
No, there's no way.
I think
There's no way.
I think there has to be a round three because I just felt like I don't know.
Round two was kind of,
Yeah,
stalemate. I don't know.
yeah. So, but I mean, but other than that, obviously, as you wind down and the teams left, I think Argentina for me, Argentina and France were the rightful, was the rightful final. They had the most moments. They had the two best players in the tournament. Um,
And it was
they had
fireworks, bro. You want to see goals.
yeah,
Like you want to see goals at the end of the day.
yeah, and that final was the best game that I've ever watched. I've watched a lot of football. Um, there's a lot of games that go back and forth, like that classic Champions League Liverpool versus AC Milan.
Oh yeah.
Like that one that's a on the neutral, like that's back and forth. I don't know if you remember Inter Milan versus Spurs, Gareth Bale's like, coming out party. Where
Kind of. I didn't see it live though, so I just had to watch highlights back then.
he scored a hat trick in the Champions League, but this one, big moment. Both the best players came out, showed up. This was a great final from start to finish, and um, it's crazy that Argentina went up the way that they did, and yet, you know, it took they didn't. I don't know. France didn't score their first goal until what, like the 70th minute,
Something like that, like
75th.
70,
Like there wasn't,
75.
yeah, it said there wasn't like that much time. There's still time left, but like not that much time. The majority of the game had already been played, but yeah, man.
But ain't that crazy though? Because what did I say on the pod last week? And I forgot I said this. I was like, look, I think Argentina has that little edge because they were up 2-0 before, and you know, the team was able to climb back and score two extra goals. So they might be a little bit more defensive when they score. And they were actually controlling the match. And then you just saw Mbappe magic for real. But it was funny how, like, I don't know, them 2-0 leads,
Yeah,
Argentina almost became very
yeah,
fraudulent.
very fraudulent.
Like
I
it
was
was
like,
it
yo,
was close too.
yeah, I was like,
Like
yo, you
Mbappe
can't.
almost got that third. I'm like, look, bro, like he just scored two. He's about to be on ass.
The young guy too. The young guy could have won the
Yeah.
game at the end, and I was just like, I mean, it was a great save by Martinez. Martinez also,
Shout out.
best keeper of the tournament. But the young kid for France at the end, could have won it for them, but unfortunately couldn't put it away. He made his penalty though. Um, but yeah, and shout out him, Kingsley Coman, Chouamini. They got a lot of racial abuse after missing their after Chouamini and Coleman missed their penalties, and I guess because the young kid, missed his chance in um, the actual like regulation time.
Right, regulation, yeah.
But yeah, man, it's unfortunate that that's still around in the sport. There's no room for that in the sport. And you know, not saying that this should be done, but you know, I'm just saying Harry Kane didn't get anything for missing, and he's the sole reason why England got eliminated. But
Not even that. He got voted second best player rating in that match
yeah, so
by the British newspaper.
there's that.
We know what's going on, bro. We know who controls the media, bro.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Who controls
Not
these
here though.
narratives?
Not here.
Nah, bro. We just,
Not here.
bro. We're
Hey,
not national media, bro.
yeah,
You know what I'm
man.
saying? We're here to give just we're honestly just here to give props to everybody because just like Salam said, this has definitely been one of the best World Cups from start to finish we've ever seen. Personally, the best World Cup final I've ever seen, best football match I've ever seen. And like I said, for the tournament from start to finish was just super exciting. I feel like the group stage games were very exciting out of nowhere. A lot of these knockout matches were blowouts, but I mean they were still fun to watch. You know what I mean? It was just a good tournament overall. And I don't mind a winner. I don't mind a winner World Cup. I mean, realistically, I thought it was going to be way worse. Um,
Yeah.
I know Qatar has some early allegations of
Mm.
some wrong, some less than savory working conditions for the
Mm.
workers, and all that other stuff that we don't really have to get into. But at the end of the day, they put on a great production. It seemed that everyone there enjoyed it. I had a few people that I know personally that were there just looking on social media. So like, oh, you're actually at the World Cup. That's pretty cool. I saw, a lot of people that I follow just on social media just hyping it up. And even with the time difference, they were able to structure the games in a way that all the European people were able to watch most of their European teams, and most of the US games were at 2 p.m. or at 10 a.m. So it wasn't anything crazy for us. So I think just like the whole logistics behind the tournament too, everything seemed like it was well thought out.
For sure. But yeah, man, tournament is over, which means club football's back. Um, so
I'm
yeah,
not even excited for real.
it's it's interesting to see like, what teams or what players are back from the tournament already. I expect, most of the England guys should be back for sure at this point.
There have been friendlies and stuff going on too in the meantime.
Yeah, for sure. United actually lost both their friendlies to Cadiz 4-2 and to Real Betis they lost 1-0. But they play Burnley in the Carabao Cup home at Old Trafford. Um, it's crazy doing predictions again, man. I really hope Varane is coming back soon. Um, at the end, he looked exhausted. He went down in the World Cup final, so I don't think that it was anything like crazy, like long term. I think it was just hopefully, fingers crossed, it was just exhaustion. But the sooner we can get him and Martinez back, the better. Hopefully they'll be back before the Nottingham Forest game, New Year's Eve. But yeah, man, I think uh I think we should be able to get the dub. I don't know who's going to be available to play, but against Burnley, championship side, at Old Trafford, I expect 3 points. And
Oh, I'm not doing no predictions right now. I don't even know who we play. And
yeah, I don't. Are you guys even in Carabao?
no, we're out.
Oh yeah, so
We lost to City. I think we play City in the FA Cup at some point, which we'll probably
yeah.
lose again. Um, yeah. Just speaking about the league, though, I'm kind of I'm in this space of I'm in this weird space with Chelsea because I don't know where we are. We lost our final match leading into this, long international break. England didn't do so well. And we had a few players. I mean, we had Kovacic make it to, the semifinals. We had Ziyech make it to the semifinals. So we had some players on our team that actually made it far and actually were playing well. But a lot of our players, Mason Mount, didn't look so hot during the World Cup. Edouard Mendy didn't really look so hot during the
Yeah,
World Cup.
I thought he's gonna have a good tournament.
You know what I mean? We had a few players who didn't play, like Aspilicueta, even though he was there. Christian Pulisic, he was so-so during the World Cup, but he's already made it known that coming back, he doesn't really want to extend his time at Chelsea. So then we look at Kai Havertz, who was part of that Germany team, left early. A lot of our players, who were involved in the World Cup, coming back, they're not really in high spirits. You know what I mean? So for me, it's kind of a tough situation to be in for real. And then knowing that we were already talking about looking for a striker in this winter transfer window. I don't know if we're going towards, Leao, or if there's going to be something else that we pick up. So there's just a whole bunch of uncertainty. So I'm in this space of just wanting to be patient, but I'd have no patience because it's mid-season, bro. Like we're midway through the season. It's January when we come back, essentially Boxing Day and then New Year's. So for me, I don't really have any time to say, oh, okay, let's have a trial run where we have 2, 3 games where we mess with the like. No, like we're in seventh place, I believe. I really haven't looked at the table in a minute, but I believe we're in seventh place, probably 4 points off of fourth. And so that's, 2 matches that we need to pick up. I think we still have a game in hand, but it doesn't give me hope that we're going to win it because I don't know where our team sits right now. You know what I mean? As far as everything, we had injuries. Reece James should be coming back. Chilwell, we need coming back. I'm not sure when N'Golo Kante comes back. Originally, they were talking February, but it'll definitely be sometime in the new year. So I don't know, man. It's just a whole bunch going on with us right now. So I kind of just want to wait until, you know, Boxing Day, kind of just to see what we come out with. Let me see who we play
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
honestly
You
have
guys
no
are
idea.
you guys are currently in eighth place. I think, but I feel you though. I think there's a lot of uncertainty going around Chelsea at the moment. With the new manager coming in. Um, but you did just officially sign Christopher Nkunku from Leipzig. So I
Yeah,
think
he doesn't come until the summer officially.
yeah, yeah, for sure. But I think you guys are
But for me, that's still another project, though.
yeah, yeah, no, for sure. I think that you'll address you have to get somebody in this transfer window. Because Broha's hurt now long term, so you got to get someone who's going to replace him. Aubameyang, at this point, is he a reliable source of goals? I don't know, maybe for one competition, but you guys are in a few competitions, so yeah, I think more or less the same with United too. I think the biggest news going on right now, obviously, is that there's a potential sale going on. There's a
True.
new yeah, so that there's new potential buyers. We don't know who those buyers are, but the current ownership group has the club up for sale, and we'll see what happens. I've been very vocal on here about like where my stance is with them. I think that they should go. I don't think that they help the club at all. Um, and yeah, hopefully we can get someone who kind of you know cares about the sport and competing, and we can get back to where we need to be. But January is going to be huge for United. They have to invest. Um, Not just us, Liverpool. I think Arsenal too, man, with Gabriel Jesus going out. They're currently top of the league. Like I don't know if you know when was the last time you guys were top of the league and you have the team that you have. I think that I don't think that I think it's gonna be a mistake if they just wait it out and think that Nketiah is gonna be
No, everybody needs to bolster
yeah,
their roster a little bit because again, we're in January almost, but we're only 14 matches in. We still have a good chunk of the season left, like a good 2/3. So it's like there's going to be a lot of games in January. There's going to be a lot of games in February, especially if you're one of these teams that plays in multiple competitions, like an Arsenal, like a United, like a City, like a Liverpool. So it's going to be interesting, man. I was just looking at the table. We sit in eighth place, 5 points away from United, which is in fifth place, but also 5 points away from Bournemouth, which is in 14th place.
yeah,
Bournemouth is our next game.
yeah,
So we're really not that far away from, the bottom half of the table. We're equidistant from 5 and 14
yeah,
point wise. And so I was saying this before, we went into the international break that every match matters, every goal matters.
for sure.
We're at 0 goal differential, sitting on 21 points. It doesn't look too hot when you're trying to scrape and claw your way back to the top four. So
Yes, sir.
I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, man. That's crazy though, man. Quick turnaround. World Cup finals on Sunday, and then you know, club football's back Wednesday. So yeah, I'm sure we'll have much more to talk about once we get these league games back going. But
Underway, yeah.
But yeah, man, good stuff, good show. Appreciate everyone for tuning in as always. Um, good luck to you in your future endeavors.